So I got a few videos I'm gonna record after this, but I wanted to do another what have I been watching series. This one's gonna be a little bit actually more TV oriented. I also watch some movies, and yeah, I want to talk about. So I had this MGM collection. I had not watched all the movies in it, but now I have, and this does include The Greatest Story Ever Told. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what I watched first was Fiddler on the Roof, which it's kind of like one of those classic musicals. It's probably the most beloved one from the 70s. And I really liked it. It was really good. It was incredibly well done. The performances were amazing. The soundtrack was amazing. And I loved this movie. It's part of the reason why I bought this collection, because I kind of knew I would really like it. And I just hadn't watched it up to this point. Plus, I just wanted Secret of NIMH. I wanted All Dogs Go to Heaven, Pebble and the Penguin. Even though those movies aren't great, I wanted those movies. Pebble and the Penguin's terrible, but I wanted those movies. And for $20, that's like 4 movies right there, because All Dogs Go to Heaven 2 is actually included on the set. So 4 movies, plus Igor was kind of a movie I remember watching at one point. I'm like, I want to watch that again. So $20 for this collection seemed like a good deal. And yeah, I was like, $20, okay, because there's like 5 movies on here I want to watch. And yeah, there's like 1 or 2 or 3 that I don't really care for. And this includes The Greatest Story Ever Told. It's good. Like, it's a well-made movie for the most part. Though I do think the main actor who plays Jesus, this is going to be weird, I don't think he looks like Jesus. I don't think he looks like him. Kind of, at least for the first half of the movie, kind of grows into that role a little bit more. But I get he's like supposed to be playing a younger Jesus, not the normal Jesus I would think of. But like, there's also just many different interpretations of Jesus and what he looks like and kind of his appearance. But kind of in my mind, what I envision, he just doesn't look like Jesus. And like, I don't know. I'm not into like biblical epic type movies. They can be good. In fact, I'm going to talk about one I watched that was really good. Well, at least one of them that is really good and considered one of the best movies ever made. I don't think that, but The Ten Commandments. So watching The Greatest Story Ever Told was like, okay, I think it's time to revisit The Ten Commandments. I started with the silent version, which I've talked about in a video before. The silent version is kind of just the 1956 version. These are both directed by Cedric DeMills. At least, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Excuse me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. It's slightly different. There's not enough changes to really warrant seeing the silent version if you haven't. It's about the same, except the other version is longer. Because the silent version, of course, is not split into 2 discs in the set. And it's really good for its time, but like the 1956 version is better, not just because it's in color and there's actual dialogue, but it's also longer and the story is expanded upon, and it's just a better made film. It's also more important to film history. Of course, this film is important in its own right, and I'm glad that Paramount was decided to put this movie out in a new Ten Commandments Blu-ray set. Now, I will say I've seen the 1956 version. It was not, but I did not watch this Blu-ray copy of it. I mostly bought it for the silent version in the back. This collection ranges from about $13 to $15. I recommend it because it is a really well-made version. But if you just have the normal version of the Ten Commandments, at least the original 1956 version, there's no reason to buy this unless you're like a mega fan and you want to watch the silent version, because this is the exact same Blu-ray transfer as that version. And but it's not that expensive though, and it is a really pretty edition, and I recommend it if you want to like experience more of the movie in a sense, and have more perspective on the movie, because I think the silent version offers that, and I really enjoy that aspect of this edition. So for me, it's worth it. But yeah, I haven't watched this Blu-ray edition. I think my grandparents at one point had a copy, and I watched it, and I liked it. I had seen Prince of Egypt before that because it's kind of the more kid-esque version of the movie, and I think it was on Netflix. I actually was at a point where I was like kind of watching every DreamWorks movie. I watched it on DVD. I didn't have that movie on Blu-ray. And I really liked that movie. And just having that perspective of having seen that movie and seeing this version, it is a way better version of the movie. And I feel like people hold this movie to such a high standard because it is so historically important to film history, and it is a well-made movie, and it is incredible, but like Prince of Egypt expands upon the story and is a very different adaptation. Like, this version is obviously not a musical and things like that, but the story's just expanded upon, and it seems to and also when they made that movie, the researchers actually went to like so many different religious philosophers and like kind of different religions and cultures to educate themselves on the story of the Ten Commandments. They didn't just go to kind of Christians and things like that. Of course, they did that with this version too, but they did that a lot more with the Prince of Egypt, and I feel like it's a more expanded upon version of that film, and it gives such a more interesting perspective with the two brothers, right? Because because in that version, Moses is not portrayed as like this holy guy who walks into the room, looks at everybody and goes like, "This is God's way, I'm gonna do this," and like, as a biblical type epic movie, that works for what this film is trying to do, but the Prince of Egypt just expands upon the brother dynamic and kind of what a mortal man, if like God were to be like in this situation and you saw like a God and he tells you what to do, like how a normal person would react to that, and kind of not portraying it as, yeah, Moses is just some holy guy. And like in some scenes, he's not always portrayed as that in this movie, but I think Prince of Egypt just expands upon that more. And I only watched the silent version today, but that's just kind of my thoughts on Ten Commandments. I'll expand upon that more when I do rewatch it today, because I'm planning to rewatch it today. But I watched the silent version. I just kind of wanted to express my opinion on it, what my thoughts are. I'm really excited to watch this again, because it is a good movie. It's just not a movie that I love like everybody else loves. It's a classic movie, and if you're a film buff and you love movies, you definitely should watch it. Just, for me, Prince of Egypt is the better movie. And then in terms of that, it was announced that Michael B. Jordan had a film franchise. So if you don't know, I love the Jack Ryan movies. I haven't read any of the books. Main reason for that is there is a lot of them, and there's not like volume sets of the books that I can just go out and buy. And I want to like buy all the books and watch them and read them all, right? Because I don't want to have to, okay, I got one book, I read it, I want to dive into the next book. I don't want to have to go search for the other book, worry about the other books going out of print or things like that. I just want to buy them in a collection, know I have them all, and kind of read through them at my own pace. But I love the Jack Ryan movies. But basically, there's a spin-off of the Jack Ryan movies with a character. I'm forgetting the title of it. I'm going to do a video on this pretty soon, the announcement of this. But basically, Paramount had this film, and Amazon bought the rights to it. Because of COVID-19, they can't release it, so it's one of their things that they sold off. And which was a smart move on Paramount's part, because like Amazon does have the Jack Ryan show, starring John Krasinski, which up to now I'd not seen. I tried to watch the first episode, and I just kind of I watched a couple minutes of it. I was like, eh. You would not believe how many TV shows I turn off doing that. Just because, like, TV, for me, it's really hard to do TV. Because I'm the type of person that when I watch TV, I jump into it. Like, I watch everything. So, like, I know the last 2 seasons of The Office are bad. But when I rewatch The Office, I will rewatch everything of The Office. Same thing with, like, every single show I watch for the most part. There are shows that get so bad that I can't do that, but for the most part, that's what I do. And so, like, I try not to get invested and watch TV shows. I'm more of a movie person for that reason, because, like, I just don't like how TV is just, like, it's so stretched out, and it's, like, so long and things like that. And, like, sometimes that really works, and sometimes that's really good. But, like, for a lot of TV shows now, like, they're Netflix shows and things like that, they try to hype it up as, like, hey, we're 10-hour movies. And it's like, I mean, there's a reason movies aren't, like, 10 hours. Because, you know, good stories aren't usually stretched out that long. I mean, obviously, there's movies that have multiple sequels that kind of make them feel like that. But, like, for the most part, movies are self-contained stories within 1 or 2 movies. And, kind of a strange thing for me personally, because I'm like, yeah, I'm a huge film buff. I love movies, and and so much of what I like about movies kind of does blend into TV, but just like, I don't know. And I do watch a lot of TV. I don't want to sell it as like I don't watch a lot of TV, but I do. But it's just like a lot harder. So like, there are a lot of TV shows I'll watch 5 minutes of, turn it off. And Jack Ryan was one of those. I never went back, and I've been meaning to. And now that this kind of Jack Ryan spinoff was announced, that it's coming to Amazon Prime, and I'm always looking for more excuses to use Amazon Prime, because I do have it. I just don't watch it that often. Same thing with like any streaming service, to be honest, besides like Disney Plus, I guess. So I went back to it. I watched the first episode. I'm not going to do like a first impressions video on it, because the fact is, this has been out for a while. Season 2 has already been out for a while. And like, I just started with season 1. My goal is to like watch one of these episodes every single day. And as like a first impressions of it, I thought it was okay. So like, I guess I should go into my thoughts of the Jack Ryan film series. Hunt for Red October and Patriot Games are some of my favorite movies. Sum of All Fears is good, but like, it's not as good as Patriot Games in my eyes. It's close, but just not quite there. I did reviews for these, but those reviews are kind of outdated. I've kind of rewatched these movies since then. I've grown to love them a lot more. I kind of have grow more of a bigger perspective on these movies, I would say. I don't like the last two, or not Sum of All Fears. It's Clear and Present Danger. Sum of All Fears is like not that good, and neither is Shadow Recruit, the latest Jack Ryan movie. They're kind of just generic action movies, and they don't really capture like kind of the cool aspect of the Jack Ryan movies, which is kind of like this kind of like political type thriller action series with a really good like kind of action hero lead. And why Patriot Games is my favorite of the series is because it has Harrison Ford, who is this really good action star, and it is really good. It's a really well made movie, and like, these are really good movies. I recommend them. They're pretty reasonable on 4K. There's 5 movies that are like $6, or not $6, $60. But like, 5 movies, $50 to $60, fair price, on 4K, and And if you don't care about 4K, they're like $20 or $10 on Blu-ray or whatever, in a collection. So that's a fair price. I recommend them, but I think they might all be on Amazon Prime. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't check. So kind of coming to this, number one, these are movies, and so like obviously the production value is different. So it's kind of hard for me to get used to it because I did like really love the movies, and like I'm so used to the production style of the movies because I've at least seen all the movies 3 times. 3. Because I really did like them. Okay? And so, like, that was getting used to. But what I did like is that these movies, or this show, is actually a lot more violent and kind of has, like, more modern terrorists. I don't know if these type of terrorists were, like, within the books. But, like, the villains kind of within the show seem to be, like, drawing upon more modern terrorists. And it kind of is, like, I guess, unique in that sense. I don't know if they're in the books. Those kind of things might be within the books. Cool. I don't know. I haven't read the books. I probably should, but like I said, I haven't. For the most part, I will say this. I don't read books before I watch movies and TV shows. Because people tend to write off books and movies and TV shows because they're not accurate to the books way too much. And there are tons of great movies that are great movies, objectively speaking. But as an adaptation, they're kind of eh. But, like, as long as it's a well-made, good film, I don't mind that. Like, for the most part, Harry Potter is a well-made, good film series. Somewhat. Like, they work without you having to read the books, somewhat. I still think Harry Potter isn't that good. But, like, I should do a video why I don't like Harry Potter, because I do have very complicated reasons for doing so. But, like, in the sense, that's why I just don't, is because, like, too many people write it off, and I want to, like, experience the movie as a movie and, like, be able to have the perspective of this is what I was introduced to first, and I'm judging it based upon what it is. And if I go back to the books and, like, they're kind of better, I will rate the books as, like, better and, like, you should read the books, but I will still, like, rate the movie. And also, I just prefer movies. I'm not against books. Like, I'll read books. Like, I own books. I have, like, a huge collection of books. I just made a haul video yesterday where I bought some books at the Dollar Tree, okay? And, like, that's kind of why I do that. But, like, you know, books are just kind of not my thing. Not to say, like, I don't read books. There are good books. I will read books if they're a good book for the most part. But there are just, like, books out there that I'm just like, not my thing. Like Harry Potter and things like that. So, when I got to this show, I just watched the first episode, keep in mind you. I didn't watch the whole show. My goal is to watch one episode every single day. So, every time I do one of these videos, I'll try to talk about that and an episode of Lucifer. I might speed up the process on Lucifer, like watch 2 episodes a day. But basically, I want to watch through all of Lucifer because the newest season is coming out. Mind you, I do not think that I will be, like, reviewing the latest season when it comes out. I didn't watch the whole first episode yet. When I do that, I will talk about it. But I liked that this was more violent. Like, there is actual blood and there is, like, actual people who get, like, super harmed. In the Jack Ryan movies, there is some of that, but there isn't, like, a ton of it. Maybe there is more in the books. Like I said, I don't know. I haven't read the books. I need to quit saying that, but I'm just, like, again, voicing that point. But in the sense that, like, Jack Ryan doesn't have that much violence, which is weird to say because like Patriot Games is my favorite. That one is rated R. That one does have more consequences. It's very weird to say that because like it's the only one of the Jack Ryan series that has that rating, and like I can't figure out why for the life of me because I've actually watched it, and like every time I watch it, there's nothing that like actually deserves that rating. In a sense, like it's not even that violent. This show is actually more violent than I would say that movie. And there's like more consequences, just judging by the first episode at least. And I like that aspect of it. But like I don't like John Krasinski as the lead. John Krasinski is Jim from The Office, okay? He will forever be known as Jim from The Office. I will never not see him as Jim from The Office. Same thing with Steve Carell's Michael Scott. Like I'll acknowledge when they give a good performance, but like it's just like when I watch something, I'm not referring to them as the actor. I'm referring to them as their character from the show. The Office, so it's kind of like. Also, the type of actor John Krasinski is doesn't lend himself to being the star of an action political type thriller. He's not bad as the character, and he doesn't give a bad performance in the show whatsoever, but it's just like he's doing the best for what he's given, but what he's given just doesn't work for the type of actor he is. And I don't really like John Krasinski that much. I think he's an overrated actor and also kind of underrated too. The reason I say overrated is because he's in A Quiet Place, and A Quiet Place is an overrated movie. It's good, but like there are tons of movies like A Quiet Place, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, there's nothing like A Quiet Place out there. And I'm like, there's tons of movies like A Quiet Place out there. And like, it's kind of one of those normie movies where they're like, it's kind of amazing how they're able to like make a movie that's silent and stuff. It's like, yeah, but like there are tons of movies that are silent movies, so it's kind of like, I don't know. And so like I feel like it's one of those movies that normies like because they're not used to that type of movie, but it's very accessible to them, which is okay, like that's fine, but like just like really, to me it's just, I don't know, it's just something that bothers me personally. I get it, some people may be like, who really cares though about that? And like for me it bothers me, in a sense. Like I feel like it's over talked about, overrated. I'm glad people enjoy it, and it's cool that people do that. But like, I don't know. I just don't feel like he works as the lead. He could grow into that more throughout the show. I don't know. What's nice about the show, it's only like 16 episodes. Season 1 has like 8. So I have like 7 more episodes in season 1, and then I'll do like a review of it, either on this channel or my main channel. Probably my main channel, because when season 3 drops, I will review it. Try to review it at least day one. So season 2 also has 8 episodes, so it's like, I have like what? Like 15 episodes left. And like I said, I did enjoy this episode. I thought the pacing could have been a bit better. Like this episode at least, I don't know if the rest of the episodes are this length, was longer than an episode of Stranger Things. And I just think about how much story Stranger Things crams into one episode, and how well paced that show is. I think, at least the first season anyways. The other seasons, not so much. So like, gosh, I'm saying a lot. I just realized that. But sorry. It is. How do I explain this? Like, Stranger Things is like an hour and 52, or not an hour. An episode is like 52 minutes, maybe a little bit longer depending on the episode. But that's the basic length of it. And I feel like this episode's like an hour and 4 minutes. Should have been cut down to about 52 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. And I think it would have worked a bit better. But overall, as a first impression, I liked it. I'm interested in seeing more. I don't love it, though. And we'll see if I grow to love it.